Hello guys, welcome or welcome back to Break Free with me, Christabel Jerry. And today we are joined with a very amazing guest. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us your name.
My name is Faith Bosire. Everyone calls me Bosire. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession and a mental health advocate generally.
Thank you so much, Faith. Today we will be discussing about toxic relationships. Kindly help us define what a toxic relationship is.
From my understanding, a toxic relationship is a relationship where either or both partners are not getting value for what they're giving in the relationship. It can be from parents, siblings, romantic relationships, and even friendships, some of which are not, you're not getting value to what you're giving, and also probably you're not giving as much as you should. So you're either the toxic one or they're the victim of the toxicity.
Okay, specifically in this case, we will be discussing about campus toxic love relationships. So can you kindly give us the signs or how would one identify that they are in a toxic relationship while in campus?
Thank you for the good question, Christabel. For campus life, our main aim is to grow in terms of academic and socializing. So toxicity in this aspect will come in form of if you're in a relationship with someone and they are blocking you from achieving these goals that you're supposed to be achieving right now. For example, you have someone who is constantly calling you all the time. You're supposed to be in class, but he or she insists that you have to be with them because maybe they're not having classes or they just want to see you. The other aspect is some people who are in romantic relationships and are maybe in the same classes, you find in class you're not able to participate because any participation might lead them to making comments later on or creating some violence out of it. For example, maybe you're dating someone in your class and then another fellow in class says, "You look really good." That has ruined the whole thing. It becomes a whole argument. The other classes, you have to sit in a particular place so that you keep them safe. You're always considering, like, how will they react to this? What do they think about this? So at the end, you're in class, but you're not focusing on your classwork. You're focusing on what is he or she thinking right now. Am I talking too much? Am I not talking too much? Not because you're being self-aware, but because someone else is looking at you and analyzing everything you're doing, and you know at the end of it, something will come out of it that is really negative. Another aspect is financial. You find someone, we're in school, most of the students, the parent is in charge of their finances. For example, paying rent, food, and everything. So a parent has given you money to cater for your own needs, but your significant other is insisting that you have to split it. That money was not intended for that. At the end of it, it comes down to you either have to start borrowing money or keep on lying to your parents to give you money to use. But it's not for you, it's for the other person. And you cannot tell them you are not using the money alone, because the other question is, who is the other person? Can you tell your parent? If you cannot tell them no, that is something that is not working for you. Also, there is this other aspect of emotionally toxicity. Someone who is always fighting your self-esteem. For example, you dress really nice, you feel you look good. Those are the days they look for flaws in you. They start telling you no.
That's too short.
Too short, too long. Your legs look fat in that. You things that, yeah, things that are really, you know, they're insecurities, but you're working on them, and then someone keeps on pointing them out. So every time now you look at that dress, you remember I was told my hips look too big on this one. Or someone on the road says, madam unakaa poa. Can speak in Swahili?
Yeah.
Oh, madam unakaa poa. And your boyfriend takes that so negatively. Mnafika mbele anakwambia, I don't even think it's true. I think he's just lying to you. Yeah. So someone has tried to compliment you. You've taken the compliment, and then someone really important to you is downgrading it. At the end, your self-esteem really goes down. So you're always waiting for them for their compliments, and they never give them because they think if probably they give the compliments, tamtoka.
Okay, we go down to the journey. This is a first year. Ampatana na mtu. They've really dated and they have realized that the guy or the girl is toxic. Can you tell us or give us the tips on how they can let go or how they know it's actually time to let go?
Thank you. So the first step is actually to realize you're in one, and that's like the biggest step that people don't end up in, because you'll find such a person will try to isolate you. A person who is toxic will try to isolate you. For example, you have like 10 friends when you join into campus, you've really worked in building these friendships, but immediately you end up in a relationship with them, all your friends are saying, squeeze ya tukuoni, where are you all the time? They're trying to call you, probably your line is always busy. So you find at the end, maybe you started dating during second semester, all your friends are gone. There's no one to talk to. So when you discover that this is the only person you literally have to talk to, that is one red flag. Because we're social beings. Social does not mean one person. Social means I have to interact with different people. There's a reason these friends were there. Are you saying this person has replaced all those reasons? So if this person has really replaced, and you can talk to him about everything, like nowadays there's this, your person has to be your best friend. Are you honestly saying you can tell them everything? Realizing that first, maybe you're alone, there's no one you can go complain to or rant to when they do something to you. That's one red flag. That is the one you can basically notice very fast. The other one is you dread their presence or their call. Anakupigia and they're just like, wow, I have to pick this. Yeah, it's not about, oh my God, babe. It's like, wow. Rolling eyes, heartbeats, it's not something pleasing. Even thinking like you will meet them at a certain time, it's not pleasing, it's worrying. You know, there's the one where it's like, not again. But then there's this worry, like if I don't pick, he'll get mad. If I don't, it has consequences that are negative. Because at times, we are human beings, you can get tired of someone once in a while. But generally, when you're just, the first instinct is to panic. There's something wrong, there's toxicity in there. The other aspect of it is you're failing in every other aspect of life. For example, we talked about the educational aspect. You came to school to study. You're failing your exams. And you don't have a tangible reason, because you'll be like, I studied, I did this. But while you were studying, were you paying attention? Or it's those ideas of, let's go study together, B. Then you get there, you're studying a bit, then you have to do other things like, let me be nice, let's cook, I'm tired, let's just sleep. Yeah. So instead of focusing on why you're there, you came to study, you're just failing. You just start failing. You're not grasping what is in class because your mind is always thinking about them, and not really in a positive way. It's just, you're so worried. What will they do? The other aspect is you and your family. If you find, I know from my point of view, I have seen that when someone is really in a toxic relationship, that's when they cannot even share their phones with, let's say, family members. You know, the way you'd go at home, then a kid will be like, let me play games or let me take photos. You're so scared of what they'll see there, or you're scared a call might come in and the kid is playing with the phone and it will create a whole issue. So you're not even free when you're away from them. You go on holiday, but you're just in panic mode. He calls, you're in panic. He's not calling, you in panic. Like, there's no time, you just chill. So how to handle it? The first step is realizing you're in it. The second step is finding a community of help. For example, like here in KCA, can I mention that? Here in KCA, there is, we have the counseling department. But before you get there, there are peer counselors, students like all of us, who have been taught how to handle such cases. Someone you can just talk to and be like, this is what is happening. Then there's a way we find out how to support you. Because sometimes it requires you to step away completely, probably defer academics, because now it engulfs you completely. You've had, like, your social aspect is dead, your financial aspect is sharing, and it's not sharing out of will, it is sharing of, my girlfriend really wants me to pay rent for 10,000. Yet that is the whole money you have. Help imeingia one way. doesn't care if you're eating yourself, if you're sleeping, as long as they're catered for, and the academic aspect is going down. So you find at times it can lead to deferment because you have backlog of things to study. You have failed exams, you need to retake them. Is your mind ready to sit down and study? You're going probably to see this as a loss because it's someone you're attached to. Now again, you have to deal with loss and grief because losing a relationship is really hard. Even if it was toxic, there was a reason you came in the first place. You just learned the toxicity as you were moving on. So realizing, first off, you're in a toxic one. Second one is finding support so that you know, am I the toxic one? Because most times we don't look at ourselves. You're always like, ni yeye, ni yeye, ni yeye. But have you looked at yourself to see if they can see you as the toxic one? Because we all have traits that are maybe not very accommodative. So people will help you analyze you. You cannot just analyze yourself, mostly if you're the toxic one. So realizing that I might be the toxic one. And then now when you come to that second part, is where you divide, am I the toxic one or not? If you're not the toxic one, now support on how to let go or how to support your partner to get out of the toxicity. Because sometimes people are toxic because that is how they know how to love. They've been taught that way. Someone used to know, saw it from the parents. My mom and my dad, love language was fighting. So he comes into the relationship, wants to fight you. You've never seen anyone fighting. So now you're being beaten and then it's like, everyone is telling you, this is toxic. And you're like, yeah, but this is someone you love. Why not take the chance and ask them, why are you doing this? Where did you learn this? Because everything is learned. I think you need support in this so that, because I cannot entertain toxicity. When you realize it's the other person, you also need to really focus on boundaries, because most times we end up in this because of lack of boundaries or vague boundaries. Someone tries something, you just accommodate. Next time they try it, you complain and they're like, but I did it last time. You said nothing. Yeah, exactly. So boundaries again come in. Now that is like the third step, because even if you're the toxic one or you have a toxic person, there has to be boundaries where you're like, I cannot let someone pass here. I cannot let someone shout at me. That's one of my boundaries. I cannot let someone call me whenever they feel like and expect me to just pick up. That can be another one. But you see, you have to communicate because they also have theirs. They also think differently. They were raised in a different setting. So it's not just about judgment that this is toxic, I'm out. It is, this is toxic, can we get help? You can get help as an individual, each one of you, to figure out why someone is referring to you as toxic, and then come together because you are in love. You care about each other and do the same. Yeah. So that's the third one. And finally is making the decision. People avoid making the decision. We're all like, oh my God, this is toxic. This is really bad. You've moved through the stages. Oh, she is the toxic one, or I am the toxic one. And then it's like, wacha tu tuone mali itaenda. Itaisha tu. Making that step yourself to be like, I'm done, or let's work on this. So you're just like, it will die a natural death. But you're still there. 3 years later, 4 years, then it's like, I've survived this long, let's get married.